So we already built 2 of the 4 components that we identified, and so next let's build the 2 forms. So that's this form right here, and then the main bill splitting form. But we will start with this small and easy one down here. So back to our app, let's create the next component, which is called form add friend. So here let's return a form element with the class name of form add friend. So just the same as the component name itself. Let's have one label which says friend name. Then let's here add one emoji with like 2 people, for example here, like this, and then the actual input field of the type text, and that's it. So again, we are just building the static part, so we have no state here. And so for now, this element here is of course not a controlled element yet. So here, next up, let's have the image URL. And again, I will use some emoji here. Let's go for this one. And then here, basically, we can just duplicate this line of text for now. So giving that a save. And finally, we need a button again. So that's this button element with the class name of button. So now we could just copy this here and paste it here, this class name button. So now we could just copy this here and paste it down here. But since we need a button like this multiple times throughout the user interface, we can just actually place this here into its own component. So we need to reuse this code right here. And so we just identified a new component that we need. All right. And here, let's do exactly what we did before. So we will specify the children prop, because that content of the button will come into the button via this children prop. So then we just display it here. So remember that the children prop here will be whatever is between the opening tag and the closing tag of calling the component. So now we say button, and then here, just as before, we say select. And so this here is then the children of this button, basically. So the children props right here will be select in this case. And so indeed, everything works just as before. And now we can then use the same button here, but this time the text will be add. All right, and we can't see the result of this yet, because we of course need to include it also here in the app in the sidebar. So form add friend, and there it is. So all we're missing now here is some button. So you see that here we have this button which says add friend. And so whenever we click this button, then the form will open. But again, for now, our app is not dynamic like this, but we still want the add friend button there. So right here between these two. And so we use again our button component. And so you see that this is a lot more comfortable than always having to use the normal button element with the button class attached to it. So here we used that class once right here, and then we can reuse that button with the class over and over again. Add friend. Well, that looks a bit weird. I believe that the button actually should be after. All right. So in fact, this is what we get here when we click. So the button changed the text to close, and it is below. All right, let's just give ourselves a bit more space. And then let's move on to building this other main form over here. So that one is called the form split bill. Form split bill. And then let's again return a form element with the class name equal to the component name. So form split bill, but not in camel case, but in this other case that's more common in CSS. So first we have the title, split a bill with, and then here actually the name of the friend, which means that we will at some point need to pass in the friend object here into this component. But for now we can't really do that because we don't have a way yet of selecting one of the friends and then passing that friend object into the form. So that is what we will do later, but for now let's just place some placeholder here. Okay, and then before we keep going, let's include that form into the app, and that's outside the sidebar here. So just here inside app, form split bill. And there it is. So let's move back down here and then write the actual content of this form. And actually this is pretty similar to what we have here. So I'll just grab this part and paste that here. And then all we need to do is to change the text here. So first we have the bill value, then use some money emoji here. Of course, here the text is also different. It's split bill. And then let's copy just this part, paste it here twice. So your expenses or expense. Yet another emoji. And of course you can split those if you don't want. And now here the expense of your friend. So I'll again just use X for now. And then we want that emoji of two people that we had before to symbolize that this is the friend. Okay, nice. Let's see. And in fact, the only thing that we are missing is now this select here. And also this input right here should be disabled. So when we add something here, for example, our expense is 40, then we should not be allowed to change Clark's expense, because otherwise these two values wouldn't add up to the total bill value. So let's do that. So here we can simply use the disabled attribute. So that's very simple. And you saw that it become grayed out there. And now let's then write that select. So here another money emoji for specifying who is paying the bill. And then here we have a very simple select element with only two options. So option 1 is you. And here let's actually specify the value also as user. And then in this other one as the friend. And then here we again want the friend name. So let's use X. And nice. Yep, that works. And so with this, we actually finished building the static part of the application. And so next up, we are finally ready to start adding some dynamics. So to add some state here.